What's up, everybody? It's your boy aka Big Zeke, coming at y'all with another weekly inspirational thought. I pray that you all have been well, and we're gonna get right into this thing. I did do some praying about it, and this will be a continuation from the weekly inspirational thought from last week, which was entitled "You Are Good Enough Because God Made You Good Enough." So this right here is part two. Okay. The reference scriptures I got for this week are from Jeremiah 29 and 11. Romans 8 and 37, and 1 Peter 2, verse 9. Okay, so let's jump right into the reading. Uh, Jeremiah 29 and 11 reads, "For I know the thoughts that I think towards you, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end." Okay, and Romans 8 and 37 says, "Nay, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him that love us." And 1 Peter 2 and 9 reads, "But ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, and holy nation, a peculiar people, that ye should show forth the praises of him who hath called you out of darkness into his marvelous light." Okay, those are the reference scriptures for this week. So we're continuing from where we left off last week. We were talking about how you are good enough because God made you good enough. Okay. The author C.S. Lewis wrote and it said, "The Christian does not think God will love us because we're good enough, but God will make us good enough because he loves us." And I think that sums up perfectly what we've been talking about. We are good enough because God made us good enough. We didn't make ourselves good enough. God made us good enough. Why did he make us good enough? Simply because he loves us. Okay? The first note I have is when God made us, he made us for greatness. Greatness was always in God's plan for us, but we allowed our fears, doubts, lies, negativity, Satan, etc. to prevent us from walking in the greatness that God created us in and for. It's time to change that narrative. Okay? We got to change that narrative. The first set of scriptures that I read, Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11, it said, "For I know the plans that I have for you." This is what God was declaring here. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope in the future. And that was the NIV version that I'm quoting right there, but that's what it was saying. The NIV, the King James version, that said, thoughts of peace and not evil, to give you an expected end. God always had it in his plan for greatness to be for all of us. He always had it in his plans for us to have a good expected end, to have us have a hope in a future. He always planned that for us. He created us in and for greatness. But along the line, we let lies creep in. We let doubt creep in. We let fear creep in. And when I say we, I'm definitely talking about me too. We let it creep in. And it stopped us from doing what we needed to do. We were afraid to fail. We were afraid to try in some cases. We were afraid of what people thought. And we simply forgot to believe what God had in store for us. We have to change that narrative. And that change starts with each and every one of us. My change for me has to start within me. Your change for you has to start within you. But we have to change that narrative. The narrative of the lies, the narrative of the doubt, the narrative of the fear. We have to change it to a narrative that, okay, God made me to be great, so I'm going to be great because he made me to be great. That's the narrative that we have to get to. Okay? Next note. God made us more than conquerors, so we have to continue to push forward knowing that our Father in heaven has created us to overcome any and everything that rises against us by his grace and his strength. God made us more than conquerors. A conqueror is somebody who defeats its enemy, who wins in victory, right? A conqueror. God made us more than conquerors through Him. So we need to be the conquerors that He created us to be in our lives. Conquer our fears, conquer our doubts, conquer the lies that have been told to us, conquer the naysayers, conquer the haters, conquer everything that comes against what God has said about us. We have to get to that point and conquer those things. People gonna run their mouth about you your whole life. And that's fine. Let them. As long as we believe the truth about what God says about us, as long as I believe the truth about what God said about me, as long as you believe the truth about what God has said about you, then we are going to be all right. Doesn't matter what anybody says. Doesn't matter how many lies Satan tries to whisper to us. It doesn't matter how our circumstances look in the moment. It doesn't matter what kind of sicknesses we may be battling in the moment. It may not matter. It doesn't matter what season we may be in the moment. If we believe what God has stated about us through His Word, we're going to be just fine in the end when it's all said and done. Okay? We have to know who we are in God. Once we know this for ourselves, then we will be able to be who we are created to be and walk in our God-given royalty and greatness. 1 Peter 2:9 told us that we are a royal priesthood, a peculiar people, a holy nation. Remember last week when I talked about us being joint heirs with Christ? That comes with that royal priesthood. We have to start walking in that. Who cares if Donna Sue or Billy Bob or whoever, and if those are y'all names, I'm not talking about y'all in particular, but who cares what they say? Who cares what they think? It doesn't matter what they think. It doesn't matter what they say. All that matters is what God says you are, who God says you are. You have to walk in that proudly, boldly. Once you do that, all the doubt, all the other stuff, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. Once you start to block all that other negativity out of your life, you're going to be better for it. I'm learning that day by day. Even as I go day by day, I'm learning to block out negative thoughts, people's isms, people's schisms. I always tell people jokingly, but I'm serious at the same time. What you think about me and what I know about me is two different things. And there's truth in that statement. See, I know I am a child of the King. I know I am a joint heir with Christ. I know God created me for greatness. You can think what you want to think about me. It really doesn't make me no never mind. It used to, I'm not going to lie. I ain't going to get on this video and lie to y'all and make it seem like I've always had this mentality. No. No, I have not. I used to care deeply what people thought about me. It used to hurt me when people would think negative about me or say negative about me. It would bother me to no end. It would bother me. But I had to learn that it's not about what people say. It's about what God says. Because God gets the final say in my life. And as long as God is pleased with me, and as long as God has created me for greatness, then that's what I'm going to hold on to going forward. And that's what I'm going to walk in, and that's what I'm going to be. What God called me to be. I don't care what family members or what friends or what co-workers or what church members or what people I see on the street or with social media. I don't care about what anybody else has to say about me. I only care about what God has to say about me. And that's the mentality we got to get to. 2 more notes and I'm done. And I'm looking at this one note. I remember this vividly because I can still hear her saying this. I could call her up right now and she'll say this. My granny used to tell us as kids. I can call her up right now and she would say this. Just say it's not what you called, it's what you answer to. It's not what you called, it's what you answer to. People gonna run their mouth your whole life. When you good, they gonna talk. When you doing bad, they gonna talk. When you in between, they gonna talk. That's what people do, they're gonna talk. It's not what they say about you, but it's what you answer to. So the question is, what will you answer to when it comes to who you are and what God made you and who God created you to be? Will you listen and answer to the lies and the deceit and the doubts that are said about you? Or will you listen and respond to what God has said about you? God's truth about you. See, you are good because you are good enough. Because God made you good enough. And he gives you proof of that every single day just because he wakes you up with a sound mind, with the ability to move around and do what you have to do. Yes, circumstances and situations may be happening, but God still allowed you to live to see those things. If God didn't think you were good enough, would you even be here right now? Would you have been able to receive the blessings that he's blessed you with if you weren't good enough? Would you even have the opportunity to be able to say that you're a joint heir with Christ if you weren't good enough? You are good enough because God made you good enough. So what is it you're going to answer to? You going to answer to all the negativity that people speaking about you? Or are you going to answer to the truth that God says about you? Okay? My final note. Knowing and believing that you are good enough because God made you good enough is not about being conceited, but it's about being confident in who you are and who God created you to be. It says that in itself. It's not about being conceited. It's not about being stuck up and looking down your nose at somebody else. It's not about acting a certain way or pretending to be something that you're not. It's about knowing who you are in God, flaws and all, and walking in who he called you to be, who he created you to be. That's it. And being proud of it. I proudly sit here on this video and tell you I'm a child of God. And I walk in the greatness that God has created me for. I'm learning to walk in the greatness that he's created me for. Am I perfect? No. Do I make mistakes? All the time. Do I say stuff I probably shouldn't? Yep. Do I think things I probably shouldn't? Yep. But I'm still a child of the King. And he's still working on me. And I'm proud and I hold that proudly and I walk in that. Do people talk about me? Probably. Do I care? Not anymore. Because I'm only focusing on what God has to say about me. And you have to focus on what God says about you. You are good enough because God made you good enough. I love y'all. That's all I got for this week. I pray that y'all take care of one another. Be blessed. I'll continue to keep you and your families in prayer as you keep me and my family in your prayers. I love y'all. Take care. Be safe. Be encouraged. Walk in your greatness that God has created you for and the greatness that he's created you in. I love y'all, and as always, be inspired.